The main thing that holds salespeople back from hitting their quota is that they are not a person that is capable of hitting their quota. Let me say that again from a slightly different angle. To hit your sales quota, you need to become the person who is capable of hitting your quota. If your personality and skill set only have X value in the marketplace and your quota is Y, then you're only ever going to hit X. There is a gap between what you're capable of and what the marketplace is willing to give you and what your boss, your sales leadership want from you. Now, this isn't some woo-woo or hippie nonsense. This isn't some magical, fluffy transformation that you need to sit on a rock in the desert and meditate over to improve upon, right? What I'm saying is that you need to become the person who's capable of building and implementing a systematic step-by-step sales process. And there are also a series of personality traits and sales skills that you need to develop if you want to generate the maximum amount of revenue that your market has to offer you. The cool thing is, once you implement all of this, once you become the person who can build a sales process and you've implemented these personality traits and these traits of sales success, hitting quota becomes your default. It will happen like clockwork every single time. Once you get this process nailed, and I'm going to give you 2 steps to doing that in this video, hitting quota isn't going to be something that you have to aspire to anymore. Hitting quota isn't going to be something that you need to visualize and aim towards. Instead, you're going to be the person who does each of the activities every single day by default that get you above and beyond your sales quota every single time. This is a slightly different way of thinking about sales training, and having trained over 2,000 sellers within Salesman.com Academy, I know that, because I've tried it, right? I know that giving people tricks and shortcuts and hacks, it never really moves the needle of sales performance. The only thing that consistently delivers high levels of sales results is to fundamentally change the person who's doing the selling, and again, help them become the person who hits quota every single time. Now, that seemed like a lot of theory, right? So let's get a little bit more practical with this. So if you head over to salesman.com, we have a tool called the Sales Code Assessment. Completely free. You can take it today and it will tell you the sales skills and personality traits that you are lacking in comparison to all the highest performing salespeople who have completed the assessment. The data that we have on high performing sales right now is pretty legit. It's statistically significant. Over 20,000 sellers have completed the assessment over the past 3 or 4 years or so. And none of these personality traits and sales skills that you'll find in the Sales Code Assessment are particularly mind-blowing. They're all pretty obvious. They include things like being able to handle sales objections, having high levels of self-esteem, being assertive, being in control of your caveman brain, and there's a few other ones as well. In fact, there are 18 sales skills and personality traits in total. And that is step 1 of beating your sales quota in 2024. It's understanding who you are right now with regards to your sales skills and your personality traits, and then seeing the gap between your current self and your potential future self who hits quota every time. And once you know how big this gap is, you can then work out how much effort you're going to need to bridge the gap from one place to another. And quite frankly, if you choose that you don't want to put that effort in, or that the gap is just too big to manage, then you can choose to plod along, to carry on, I guess, struggling or getting near a quota or hitting it every other year or so. But the important thing is that you're choosing to be average as opposed to just living in this limbo of wondering what might be. If you could work out that secret that the rep in the other team has mastered, and that's why they're making twice as much money as what you are. And for a lot of people, that might be absolutely fine. It might be an appropriate decision to want to just plod along. Perhaps you're in a phase of your life where you'd rather spend time with your kids, or otherwise you're just not in a position where you really want to prioritize making as much money in as short of time as possible. Obviously, you don't want to be doing this if you are on your last legs with sales leadership, or there's the risk that you're going to get fired from average sales performance. Negating kind of those kind of issues, you might want to just plod along. Now, for most sellers who consume my content, they are looking to make some serious money as quick as possible. And that's where we start to move on to step 2 of this process of hitting quota in 2024. And this is implementing any of the sales skills or the personality traits that are missing from your sales code assessment results. Now, let me be clear here. You can bridge this gap from where you are to where you need to get to make sales success your default result for free, or nearly for free, by buying books, by grabbing we've got a whole book on how to improve your sales code assessment results with the Sales Code Assessment kind of novel here that is the Sales Code book. You can get this for free over at salesman.com, and a lot of our training is built upon this kind of content. You get this completely for free, the PDF version, again over at salesman.com. there are podcasts, there are YouTube videos, there's tons of content on each of the specific topics that you need to potentially instill into your personality or the sales skills that you need to develop. This is obviously free, but it can be very time consuming. And the problem is it's not very targeted and specific. So for example, if you lack assertiveness, you might read 3 books on becoming more assertive, but only a small segment of each of those books is going to be even somewhat specific to being assertive within the B2B sales environment. And let me tell you, because we've been through this process building our own training over at salesman.com, being assertive within a buyer-seller dynamic is completely different to being assertive with your friends, your family, your spouse, your children, or whatever it is. So it is entirely possible to upskill yourself with free or very cheap content. You've got to factor in the implication that it's going to be time consuming and it might not be very specific to the B2B skill set that we're trying to develop here. Which then leads us on to the alternative, a much quicker and more effective process, and that is to invest into your career by doing some sales training. Now, I offer a specific sales training product over at salesman.com called Salesman.com Academy that covers each of these personality traits and the sales skills within the context of B2B sales. And there are other providers out there, you don't have to go work with us, but I'm just trying to give you some context here that it does exist. It is out there. You can go from where you are right now to where you want to get to, where you need to get to make sales success and hitting quota your default. Not just this year in 2024, but moving forward throughout the rest of your sales career. But sales training content is not on its own enough. What you need to accelerate your sales skill development is a feedback loop. So again, in our training program, other people might do this different ways, but our feedback loop within Salesman.com Academy is very simple. You run through the content, the training itself, and then when you've got a question, you've got a comment, you've got a query, you've built something practical like your value proposition or a series of cold emails or a cold call script or a proposal, then you come to me personally within our group coaching sessions that happen a couple of times a week, or you can post within the community section of the platform and you'll get people in the community. Other high performers will give you feedback. And this feedback loop is often overlooked when you're trying to iterate quickly on both your sales skills, your personality traits, but also the machine, the selling machine that you're building to both generate leads and close deals within your marketplace. This feedback loop, the way that we do things anyway, means that you get multiple iterations of improvement before your prospect even sees what you're trying to share with them, before you even try and communicate with that prospect. And this is powerful because it means you're not practicing on your potential customers and losing business as you go along. Instead, you get a much faster, quicker, iterative feedback loops from a response from me or the community members or people in the program. And you're getting this after a few hours or a few days. And so by the time you go to market, you know pretty much that what you're going to put out there is going to work. You will book meetings with this sales cadence. You will generate proposals. You will do solid sales demos. You will close deals. And what we do within our program is reverse engineer what you want, how to become that salesperson that by default makes X amount of dollars per year. Then we give you everything else that you need to be able to achieve that and support you through that process. So as I said, I'm not saying you need to join Salesman.com Academy by any means. But if you are serious about smashing your quota in 2024, and especially because we're going to go through some weird times in 2024, which is why I'm making this video now specifically. There's going to be all the disruption from AI selling tools that are just going to spam the crap out of everyone's marketplaces. We've got this phenomenon as well. So I'm at the upper level of millennials, but you've got millennials now aging up into buying roles. Most of 65% of the individuals who have budgets within B2B organizations, especially in the Western world, that's just what I've got the data on, are now millennials. And they buy in a completely different manner to all the generations that have come before them. And on top of all this, very likely we're going to have some economic turmoil this year. And this is purely because of the fact that 60% of the world are going to have some kind of general election for a prime minister or a president this year. It's obviously the US, the UK, there's a bunch of other economies. For whatever reason, they've all just come around at the same time. And so the economy might be up, down, disruptive. People might want to spend money, they might not want to spend money, they might want to solve new problems, there might be new legislation. There's loads of opportunities in 2024, but there's also going to be, if you're just doing the same thing over and over and you've not had massive success from it so far, you're going to run into some new roadblocks as well. So if you are serious about your sales results this year, and again, this year specifically, I would strongly encourage you to get into some kind of sales training that offers you a feedback loop of sorts so that you can then improve yourself. You can become the person who is capable of hitting your goals. Otherwise, you can continue to carry on and do what you've always done. And if you've always got average and you don't make any changes and you don't change your personality traits, you don't become that high-performing salesperson, then you will always get what you've always got. And hopefully that is, if you're not willing to put in the effort and do the work and the hustle and everything else, hopefully that might be enough for you.